I lay trapped in a tangle of crushed metal and shattered glass, praying for my unborn child's life, while the woman who gave birth to me was busy doubling down on a blackjack hand. 2 months ago, I woke up to the sterile beep of machines and a crushing reality. My newborn daughter was in the NICU being rocked by a hired nurse because my own mother couldn't be bothered to leave the casino floor. For nearly a decade, I had transferred exactly $4,500 out of my bank account every single month to support my parents. That sums up to nearly $500,000. I never asked for a thank you, and I certainly never got one. But the night I fought for every breath with a punctured lung, my mother told my frantic husband that I was being dramatic, and that my sister never caused this kind of trouble. I cut the financial cord that night. 3 hours later, my grandfather walked into my recovery room carrying a thick, weather-beaten file folder. What was inside that folder didn't just expose a few lies. It dismantled my entire understanding of my family. Before I break down exactly what happened, if you appreciate stories about karma finally coming around to collect its due, please hit that like button and subscribe to Winds of Thought. But only do it if you really feel this story in your gut. Also, tell me in the comments, what time is it where you are right now? Let's rewind 9 years to the moment I signed my life away. I was 25, fresh out of university and staring at my first corporate paycheck with wide eyes. It felt like freedom. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mom, and she was sobbing. "It's your father," she choked out. "He's had a mini stroke." The world tilted. "Is he going to be okay?" I asked, gripping the desk. "He's stable," she said, her voice trembling perfectly. "But the insurance won't cover everything." "We're drowning, Paige. The bank is talking about taking the house." "How much?" I asked immediately. "Just tell me what you need. It's a lot to ask," she whispered. "But you're the only one who can help us. We need $2,000 a month to keep the roof over our heads." I didn't hesitate. I set up the standing order that evening. "One more thing," Mom added before we hung up. "Don't mention this to Dad. It would crush his pride." "This is our secret," I agreed. "Because that's what good daughters do, right? They save the family." She never said thank you. She just told me, "This is your duty." 3 days later, I was scrolling through social media when a post from my sister Megan popped up. She was beaming, holding a brand new designer handbag worth at least 3 months of my rent. The caption, "Best mom ever." #spoiled. I stared at the screen. I almost called Mom to demand an explanation, but then the doubt crept in. Maybe it was a knockoff. Maybe Megan was having a hard time and Mom just wanted to cheer her up. Maybe I was the bad guy for even keeping score. That was the first time I gaslit myself. It wouldn't be the last. By year 3, the monthly demand had risen to $3,500. "Megan needs to take this influencer course," Mom insisted. "She's finally found her calling." By year 5, it was $4,500. The roof is leaking. Dad's heart medication has doubled in price. You know how the system is. I never asked for receipts. I just tightened my own belt. I quit my gym, I meal prepped rice and beans, and I took on freelance consulting gigs every weekend to cover the spread. My boyfriend Daniel noticed the strain. "Paige," he asked one night, "when can we start saving for our own place?" "Soon," I promised. "I just need to get my parents through this rough patch." He didn't argue, but during a Thanksgiving visit, he pointed something out. "Have you noticed your mom never asks about your life?" He said. "She spent an hour talking about Megan's follower count, but didn't ask a single question about your promotion." I brushed it off. "She's just stressed." Asterisk, but I couldn't brush off the memory of a call from my grandfather Harold 4 years prior. Mom always painted him as a distant, cold workaholic who didn't care about us. But that day, his voice was gentle. "Paige," he'd said, "I need to know. Are you happy? Is your mother treating you right?" "Of course, Grandpa," I'd lied. "Everything is great." He paused for a long time. "If that ever changes," he said, "you call me. Promise me." I promised and pushed it to the back of my mind. I shouldn't have. Pregnancy changed the math. At 33, seeing that positive test shifted my entire universe. Daniel and I wept with joy, but then the anxiety hit. I sat down and finally calculated the total. $4,500 times 12 months times 9 years. $486,000, that was a house. That was a college fund. That was a life. I called Mom. "I have amazing news. I'm pregnant." "Oh, finally," she sighed. "I thought you were going to wait until you were too old." I ignored the jab. "Mom, we need to talk." "About the money?" "With the baby coming, Daniel and I need to build our savings. I need to drop the transfer to $3,000 for a while." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then the explosion. "After everything we've done for you," she snapped. "Do you want your father to stop taking his pills? Is that it? You're being incredibly selfish, Paige." I heard Dad's voice in the background, faint and weary. "Linda, maybe we can manage." "Quiet." "Robert," she hissed. The line went dead. I kept the transfer at $4,500. That night, insomnia struck. I opened Facebook. There was Mom tagged in a photo from 3 days ago at a luxury spa resort. Self-care weekend with the ladies. The cost of that weekend could have covered Dad's meds for a month. Daniel found me sobbing at 2 a.m. "What? Is it? Hormones?" I lied. It was easier than admitting I was being used. 7 months into the pregnancy, Daniel sat me down. He opened his laptop. He had built a spreadsheet. "I need you to look at this page." He had tracked every time I sent money against every time Mom posted about a new purchase. New furniture. Megan's trip to Sabio. Dad's medical bills that somehow matched the price of a cruise ticket. "Paige," he said softly, "if you keep this up, what are you teaching our daughter? That love means letting people bleed you dry. What if they cut me off?" I whispered. "What if they hate me?" "Then you'll have your answer," he said. "You'll know exactly how much you're worth to them." I wasn't brave enough to find out, not then. But fate has a funny way of forcing the issue. 2 months later, I was bleeding out in a wrecked car, and my mother's voice was about to break my heart for the last time. It was October 17th, a Thursday, 9:47 p.m. I was driving home from a late client meeting. 36 weeks pregnant, exhausted. The rain was torrential, blurring the world into streaks of gray and red. I approached the intersection near our house. The light was green. I didn't even tap the brakes. The pickup truck coming from the side didn't stop. The impact was a thunderclap. Metal screamed. Glass dusted the air like diamonds. The world spun violently, then slammed to a halt. The pain was immediate. A fire in my chest, a scream in my bones. I gasped for air, but my lungs wouldn't fill. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard sirens. My hand instinctively went to my belly. Was she moving? I couldn't feel anything but agony. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" A flashlight beam cut through the dark. "She's pregnant. We need the jaws now." I tried to whisper, "Save her," but the darkness swallowed me whole. I wouldn't open my eyes for 14 hours. When I did, I learned exactly who my family was. Daniel was in Seattle on a business trip. He told me later that the call from the hospital brought him to his knees in the middle of the airport terminal. "Your wife is in critical condition," the surgeon told him. "We had to perform an emergency C-section. The baby is in the NICU. Paige has multiple fractures and a collapsed lung." Daniel was 2,000 miles away. The earliest flight didn't land for 6 hours. He was frantic. His wife was unconscious. His daughter was alone in an incubator. He did the only logical thing. He called my mother, who lived 20 minutes from the hospital. She answered on the fourth ring. Hello? Her voice was light, happy. Linda, it's Daniel. Paige was in a crash. It's bad. She's in surgery. The baby had to be delivered. Oh my God, she gasped. Is she okay? I don't know. I'm stuck in Seattle. Please, Linda, go to the hospital. Be with them until I get there. A pause. Tonight? Yes, tonight. Now. Your granddaughter is alone. In the background, Daniel heard a distinct sound. The electronic chirping of slot machines. Daniel, you know Megan is on her cruise, Mom said, her voice tightening. I promised I'd watch her cat. Whiskers gets such anxiety if he's left alone at night. Daniel actually laughed. A hysterical, disbelief-filled laugh. Linda, your daughter is in the ICU. Your granddaughter was just born. You're talking about a cat? Paige always has these dramatic emergencies, Mom snapped, her tone shifting to annoyance. Your sister never has these issues. Megan is so much more organized. Maybe if Paige didn't work so late. She was hit by a drunk driver. Linda, well, I'm sure the doctors have it under control. Call me in the morning when things settle down. The slot machines chimed louder, a jackpot nearby. I'm having a night out with friends, Daniel. I deserve a break. You married her. You deal with it. She hung up. Daniel stared at his phone, trembling with rage. Then he remembered a number Paige had saved years ago. Harold Green. He dialed. My grandfather answered on the second ring. I woke up to pain and bright lights. A tube was pulled from my throat. Mrs. Reynolds. A nurse hovered over me. Don't try to move. You're in the ICU. My hand flew to my stomach. Flat. Panic spiked in my chest. Your daughter is safe, the nurse said quickly. She's in the NICU. She's tiny, but she's a fighter. I wept. Where is my husband? He's on a plane. He'll be here in 2 hours. And my mother? The nurse looked away. No one from your family has checked in, ma'am. My daughter was born. I had nearly died, and no one came. I asked for my phone. The screen was cracked, but it worked. No text from Mom, but there was a notification from Megan, an Instagram story posted 3 hours ago. A selfie with a cocktail. Living the dream. Caribbean nights. I put the phone down and made a decision. I need to hire a night nurse, I rasped. I want someone with my daughter until my husband gets here. I don't want her alone. An hour later, Maggie walked in. She was a professional caregiver from an agency. She settled in, but looked at my chart. Reynolds? Related to Judge Harold Reynolds. My grandfather, I whispered. He used to say his biggest regret was staying silent when he should have spoken. Up, she said. I never knew what he meant. I didn't either. Not until later, alone in the dark, I opened my banking app. The transaction history stared back at me. 9 years, every month. Like clockwork, not a single thank you. Just a black hole consuming my future. I tapped manage transfers. The confirmation box popped up. Asterisk cancel recurring payment. Asterisk my thumb hovered. This is what daughters do, Mom's voice echoed. No, I thought. This is what victims do. I tapped yes. 3 hours later, the door opened. My grandfather stood there. He looked older, but his eyes were sharp. He walked to the bed and took my uninjured hand. Asterisk, I'm here, Paige, he said, his voice cracking. I came as fast as I could. Mom said you didn't want to see me, I choked out. She told me the same about you, he said grimly. Daniel told me what happened tonight, what she said to him. Grandpa, I'm sorry, Do not apologize. He pulled a thick folder from his coat. I need to show you something. I've known about the money for a while. He opened the folder. It was full of bank statements, my bank statements. I'm a judge, Paige. I noticed things. I did some digging. He sighed, a heavy, weary sound. I made a mistake with your grandmother. I let family issues fester, hoping they would fix themselves. I won't do it again. He pointed to a document. 486,000. That's what you've given them. They needed it, I said weakly. Did they? He pulled out an email printout. 3 years ago, your mother asked me to change my will. She wanted everything to go to Megan. She argued that since you were rich enough to send them money, you didn't need an inheritance. I felt bile rise in my throat. I didn't change it, Grandpa said. But tonight, tonight, she showed her true face. The door swung open. My father walked in. He looked shattered. I called him, Dad said, his voice barely a whisper. I couldn't keep quiet anymore. Before I could speak, Mom breezed in. She was dressed in silk, smelling of expensive perfume. She froze when she saw Grandpa. Dad, she blinked. Then she saw me and plastered on a look of concern. Paige, my baby. I came as soon as I heard. It's 4 a.m., Linda, Grandpa said, his voice like crushed gravel. The accident was 6 hours ago. Traffic was a nightmare, she lied smoothly, reaching for my hand. You were at the Desert Rose Casino, Dad said. I tracked your phone. Mom spun around. Robert, are you spying on me? You left your daughter alone in surgery to play slots, Grandpa said. I didn't know it was serious. Mom pleaded, turning to me. Daniel always exaggerates. Paige, you know how he is. Stop, I said. It wasn't a scream. It was a calm, final command. I heard what you said, Mom. Paige always has these emergencies. This is your responsibility. She paled. Grandpa showed me the papers, I said. The will, the lies. Mom looked cornered. I was just trying to protect Megan. She needs help, because you crippled her, Grandpa snapped. You gave her money instead of a backbone. Paige, Mom begged. We're family. I'm done, Mom, I said. The transfers are canceled. I'm done. She stared at me and the mask slipped. The sorrow vanished, replaced by cold calculation. You'll regret this, she hissed. You ungrateful girl. Get out. Grandpa said. She left. Dad stayed for a moment, squeezed my hand, and whispered, I'm sorry I was a coward. Then he followed her. I thought that was the end of it. But Mom had one more play to make. 4 weeks later, I was home, healing. The silence from my parents was absolute. No money left my account, and for the first time, our savings started to grow. Then the voicemail came. Paige, Mom sobbed into the phone. I know I messed up. Please, let me meet my granddaughter. I promise I'll do better. Just give me one chance. I wanted to believe her. Against all logic, I wanted a mother. One chance, I told Daniel. 4. Emma's 1-month celebration. If she pulls anything, it's over forever. The party was small. Grandpa, Dad, some friends. Mom arrived 45 minutes late, dragging Megan with her. I hadn't invited Megan. Surprise, Mom chirped. Megan offered a tight, fake smile. Hey, sis. The party went smoothly for an hour. Mom played the doting grandma perfectly. But Daniel nudged me. Watch her. She keeps checking Grandpa's position. I slipped into the kitchen and heard Megan whispering on her phone. Mom says she's working on him. We need that inheritance, or I'm screwed. I froze. It was all a setup. I walked back into the living room. Mom had cornered Grandpa by the window. She didn't notice that the karaoke machine on the side table was. Lev, Dad, be reasonable. Her voice boomed through the speakers. Megan needs the money. Paige has plenty. Just adjust the will. It's only fair. The room went deathly silent. Mom turned, saw the microphone, and went white. Did I hear that right? My friend Sarah stepped forward. You're at your granddaughter's party lobbying for money? You don't understand, Mom stammered. I understand perfectly, Grandpa said, stepping away from her. Everyone here just heard the truth. You see your children as ATMs? I walked to the center of the room. Mom, I said, for 9 years, I sent you $500,000. While I did that, you told everyone I was selfish. When I almost died, you stayed at a casino. Gasps rippled through the room. And today, I continued, you used my daughter's party to secure a payout. I sacrificed everything for you. Mom screamed, abandoning the act. I raised you. You owe me. I don't owe you my life, I said. Get out. Don't call. Don't visit. We are done. Megan tried to step in. You're being hysterical. And you, Sarah, said, blocking her path, are a 29-year-old toddler. Leave. They left. The door clicked shut and the heaviness in the room lifted instantly. So here's where we landed. 2 weeks later, Grandpa finalized the new will. 70% in a trust for my daughter. 20% to Dad, who finally separated from Mom and got his own apartment. 10% to Mom and Megan, conditional on 6 months of verified therapy. They haven't seen a dime yet. My bank account is recovering. We paid off our mortgage. We took a vacation to a cabin where the only noise was the wind in the trees. Dad comes over for dinner now. He's learning to be a real father. Grandpa comes every Sunday to read to Emma. 6 months ago, Megan called me. She got a job in retail. She's in therapy. I don't want to end up like Mom, she admitted. I wished her luck. I haven't let her back in fully, but the door isn't locked, just closed. As for Mom, she sold the house to pay her debts. She lives with a friend. I haven't spoken to her since the party. Sometimes I feel a phantom reaching for the phone, a reflex to fix her problems. But then I look at my daughter, safe and loved, and I remember, you cannot set yourself on fire to keep someone else warmed. Family isn't about whose blood you share. It's about who shows up when the car crashes, if you've ever had to cut off a toxic family member. I want to hear your story. What was your final straw? Let me know in the comments. And please like this video to help others find the courage to set boundaries. You are enough. You have always been enough. Thank you for watching.